It's the Hoopwise podcast from New England Basketball Journal, a comprehensive look at the basketball landscape in New England, tracking prospects, recruiting, college, and more, with your hosts, Steve Hewitt and Ethan Fuller.
Happy spring, everyone, and welcome back to the Hoopwise podcast. We are part of New England Basketball Journal. I'm Ethan Fuller, as always, joined by Steve Hewitt. We have very quickly turned the page from the school season to AAU, and it just kind of leads to an entirely new set of storylines, teams. A lot of the players will be the same, but just new context. Before we dive into a lot of that in this episode, Steve, how's it going? How's your spring been?
How's it going, man? Yeah, it's funny that you say happy spring. I walked out my door this morning. It's 30 degrees outside in the middle of April or early April here. So it's funny. You think about AAU and like what associates AAU is like warm weather and like you're going to be traveling to warm places to play games and everything like down south. And I think it like snowed in some parts of New England yesterday.
I believe it. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
but no, I'm good, man. Yeah, I'm fired up for AAU. Like we're still sort of recovering a little bit from the school season, but it just never stops, man. It's 24/7 with this stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
we got a few final chapters with the postseason awards that will be coming out pretty soon. I think we've been talking to some people, and so
hmm
you'll see all those come out in the next couple weeks. But then, yeah, just kind of
yeah,
an entirely different world with AAU, and like with the weather, as you said, I went to a Red Sox game on Monday, and oh my gosh, I added to the fact it was a tough Blue Jays loss, but
yeah.
just cold
And
and
then
rainy.
Tuesday night, it was like 10 degrees out.
Yeah, uh, there's nothing worse than
For the game.
going because we're both runners. I'm now a runner. Congrats to me. And
Hell yeah.
there's nothing worse than like planning a run and you're like, oh, it's 40, and then you look at the feels like and it's 25, and you're like, oh, this stinks. Okay.
Welcome
Um,
to New England, man.
yeah,
Welcome to New England.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about AAU, which we'll be turning up the heat on that. With Steve being at the first kind of large AAU boys event of the season last weekend
hmm
uh, at Dana Barros. And I know you were there 2 days. It's a lot of basketball. I think the first AAU
Yeah.
event that you go to every year, you're kind of like, wow, this is a lot of basketball. And so I know it's overwhelming at first. It will be for me when I go to mine this coming weekend. But yeah, so before we get into players and teams and big takeaways, just what was it like being back in that environment? How different is it from school ball?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar to school in some ways. It's just like teams kind of ushering in and out of, and if you've been to Dana Barros, you know it's like five courts stacked on top of each other, and it's just basketball being played all day. And um, no, it's funny because like you're seeing some of the same kids that you just saw for 4 months in different uniforms, and they're all they're all fighting each other during the school year for playoff spots and playing in the NEPSAC, and then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks later, they're in different AAU uniforms and playing with each other, and kind of joining forces. Like I was watching BABC, and it's like Amir Jenkins, Alex Bueno, our teammates, and like a month ago they were playing against each other. Like I remember going to the Worcester Academy Lawrence Academy game, and they're going at it after each other. And I mean, that's just the nature of the business and um, what basketball is like year round with here. And these kids are growing up with each other and playing with each other all the time. And then they go their different ways with school and then come back in the summer and play with each other. But no, it was fun. Definitely overwhelming. Too much basketball, I would say. Um, all different levels. Like obviously you got the 17U, 16U, 15U. There's some middle school teams that I didn't really pay attention to. Like we're, we're more, I think we're more focused on the rising seniors, rising juniors, rising sophomores. That's sort of uh, I know where we sort of uh, put a focus on our coverage.
Mhm.
But just like too much basketball, like just overload. Like like I walked in on Saturday at like 10 a.m. Didn't leave until like 6:30. Like I didn't even see like the outside. Like I was not outside for like 8, 9 hours, and I walk out and I'm like just like overstimulation of
Mhm.
basketball. but really good. Like a lot of, obviously, we'll get into all the talent that was there, and some exciting new names that I saw. Some buzz around the gym about a few certain players. So, no, this is cool because NEPSAC and AAU are kind of obviously fulfill two different sort of things. Like AAU is more about uh, recruiting and exposure, and obviously the teams coming together to try to win circuit championships too. And it's sort of like a 2-3 month sprint of traveling and practicing like once or twice a week, and just a lot of travel. And but it's cool to obviously a little kickoff event, and it was kind of good to see where some of these teams kind of shape up for the next 2-3 months.
Yeah, these events are interesting, and the biggest challenge I always have is like you want to see the best part of every day, but you don't really have control over it. Like we were talking about
Yeah.
some of what you saw where it's like you're hearing this buzz on a different court about like some players that are
Mhm.
doing really well, but you want to finish your game and kind of treat that fairly, but then you want to see those other players, but you don't know like they might have a bad game the
Yeah.
next time and you don't want to
Yeah.
discount them for what they did when you didn't watch them. And so that part's always kind of hard, but it's just so much. And like you said, a lot of the names, and I don't want to pull too much from your story that you put up on basketballjournal.com, but a lot of these names like the Ryan Mesh and the Theo Adema and Amir Jenkins and like and Iguenu, like these names that we have talked about for months now, you see them in, I don't know how different their roles looked on their teams when you watch them. You can probably speak to that better, but you're seeing
Mhm.
different skills in some ways too, where like some of these people are stars on their NEPSAC team and might not be on their AU team. And sometimes it's the other way around
Yeah.
too. So was there anyone that you thought looked good in a different role that like we have talked about a lot, but maybe you were like, oh, this is kind of a different side of their game that I didn't really
Yeah.
about in NEPSAC, or am I being
Um,
public?
Nothing comes to mind right off the top, but no, you're right. Like some of these star players, like they're starting on their prep school teams and they're coming off the bench in some instances on their AAU team just because the talent is just
That's
like so much.
crazy.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Nothing comes to mind on like different roles. I'm trying to think. You kind of put me on the spot there. I
Yeah.
wasn't really expecting that
It's tough too,
question.
because this is like the very
Yeah,
first
yeah,
one. And so there's still a lot of fine tuning. It's also different. This is kind of part of the learning process. It's like how different do these events feel relative to like the live period events? Because yes, it's about exposure, but college coaches can't, or like D1 college coaches can't watch this. And so
yeah,
does that play into teams playing differently? I don't know. I don't know. It's all really
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. And I think we've talked about this a few times on the podcast. Like this is a good, I feel like scouting tool for colleges, not only to see kind of where these kids are developing over the course of time from the school season to the AU, but how do they fit in? Like we said, like you're surrounded by stars for their own, like it's kind of like all-star teams in a way.
Hmm.
Like I'm looking at the Magic, and they have Mesh, they have Winston Legentis, Ty Tabalas, Quincus. Like these are all like starters on their own NEPSAC teams, and they're coming together to kind of play different roles, try to fit in within that kind of team dynamic. Because when they go to college, that's like that's what it is. Like your teammates are going to be stars from their own leagues or regions or what have you. So I think that's maybe something that gets a little glossed over. Like that's important to kind of see where some of these kids can fit in, and um, kind of play star in their role is like a term that we hear a lot from different coaches. And to be able to take different coaching, like you might be playing a different style with your AU team than you were with your knapsack team. So there's a lot of different factors that kind of go into a successful spring and summer that might not seem obvious, but be interesting to watch over the next couple months for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a really good perspective. So yeah,
Yeah.
I want to kind of get into some of your players that you shouted out. You had 13 and
Hmm.
then a couple of additional notes. There is one
Yeah.
one guy in particular that I was really excited to see what you thought of him because we did not get to watch him this winter really, but he is one of the biggest names in New England basketball for those who are kind of in the know, and that is Patrick Otey on Expressions Elite. He played at
Yeah.
Overtime Elite, and so that for that reason, like we didn't really see a whole ton of him. I know, as you mentioned, he hurt his MCL, came back in
Hmm.
January, so that kind of he had to ramp back up from that. But he is one of the biggest names, nationally ranked
Hmm.
guy. So this was your first chance to really get a good watching of
Yeah.
him. What did you think of him?
Yeah. I didn't. It's funny. I didn't even realize just because he doesn't really play in the region, and it's hard to just keep track of everything that's going on.
Mhm.
Uh, just within the region that I'm like with him, like I wasn't really sort of narrowing in on what he was doing with Overtime Elite, but he came back in January from that MCL injury, which I did not realize. So I was like mildly surprised to see him over the weekend. Like I had saw a clip on Instagram going into the weekend and was like, oh, OT's healthy. Like I'm probably going to see him this weekend. So that was really exciting to see him. He's got a big sleeve, black sleeve on, well, I think it was his left leg. That's the injured one.
Mm.
But no, he looked fine. Like he's the injury is far in the rearview mirror. Um, I was telling a few people there, like I don't want to put expectations on kids, but like there's like a lot of like kind of just like look like a pro to me in some ways, offensively at least. I know there's maybe some questions defensively about him, and um, that's something that I think he knows he needs to improve on for the summer. But offensively, just like he's so polished, and you can kind of just tell when a kid just has like such a strong feel for the game. Um, like his skill level is advanced. Like there are reasons why he left Cats to go to Overtime Elite, right? Like
Yeah.
he's a top 25 player in the 27 class. He's playing up with expressions on their 17U team. And he's might be their best player. Like obviously Abdu Torre is with him on that team. So just like stat talent on expressions.
Mhm.
Abdu Torre, for those that aren't familiar,
Yeah, talk about him too. Another guy we
we
didn't
don't
get to
really
see a whole
cover
lot of.
him, but
Yeah.
he's a top 20, 25, I think universally top 50 in cross sites, nationally ranked. Um, it was funny. I made a point to watch one of Expression's games, and I got there a little early, and they were like doing like a legit dunk contest in warm up, like pregame warm up lines. Um, and we actually have a few photos from our photographer who was there. Shout out Carlos Flores for doing great work
Mhm.
for us this weekend at Dana Barros. And he got some really insane shots of like Abdu Torre, like going between the legs and behind his back. Like these are dunks that would probably get like 45s at least in like the NBA dunk contest. And we know the NBA dunk contest is kind of taking a hit, but just the athleticism is just insane. And like OT, feel for the game, like um, knows where to find his spots. Like his shooting has taken a jump just from what I've heard and what I've talked to people. Like his shooting has taken a jump from outside, which is big for him. Obviously, he's getting recruited by all the high majors, UConn, um, Texas, I think. Don't quote me on that, but like all the high majors are after him for a reason. But
Yep.
um, Patrick Otey, yeah, he had a lot of like jaw dropping plays to me that were like, holy crap, like no look passes in transition, just these like quick like touch passes. Like he's just like a step ahead of the defense in a lot of ways. And like I said, he was breaking down kids off the dribble, and there was one play where he like took a baseline and like the defender came up to help, and like he was like two steps ahead of that defender, and like just like put up a floater over his head. It's like a defender that was like 4 or 5 inches taller than him, like and switches through the net, like just like insane thing. So really fun to see Patrick Brody thriving. He's healthy. Big summer ahead for him. Um, hopefully I can see him a little more. I don't know. I have to get Expression's schedule. I don't think they're local too much over the course of the spring and summer. So I'm gonna have to keep monitoring that. But uh, yeah, all rave reviews for Patrick Cody.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we want to
Yeah,
hear because
yeah,
I've been very, very excited to see him kind of back in our region. And again, like that's where you kind of see it's tough again because when you leave, I feel like a lot of the local hype understandably, and also just kind of is tough. It like dampers down a little bit. And so I was like, oh, how's it going to be for him to come back in here? And clearly he was one of the best players you saw, which is really, really cool.
Yeah,
But then like I was
yeah,
again reading through your story, a lot of these names I recognize, like Amir Jenkins, Alex Igbenu, Ryan Mesh, as I said. But there are quite a few new names in here that at least I haven't heard you talk about before, and I imagine some of them are first time views for you. Anyone
yeah,
who really popped to you as like, wow, I didn't really know about this guy, but definitely on your radar going forward.
yeah. I think the first name on my list was Sage Baptiste from Team Sims. I didn't really get to see a ton of Tabor like this season. And um, I want to say I maybe saw like two or three of their games, which I should have done a better job with seeing them because they ended up being the top top three seed in Class A. But um, he is just like he reminds me a lot of Alex Bueno in some ways. Same size, both like 6'6", 6'7" wings who can shoot, who can take guys off the dribble. And um, I think I mentioned in the article like they were going up against Team New England, and Collins Chidera, their 6'10" monster who's nationally ranked. Like he was going toe to toe with him and uh, banging him on the boards. Like he beat him for a few offensive rebounds and some finishes over him. Like Sage Baptiste like really popped for me. I think he had 30 points in that game, 30 points and
Wow.
10 boards. Um, Trying to figure out which teams actually keep their own stats, but I think Team Sims is one of them. So,
Oh, that's
but,
so nice. That's the
yeah,
ultimate one of the ultimate
yeah, yeah,
problems with
yeah, yeah,
AAU. And yeah.
yeah. I think that'll be few and far between, but good to get the numbers on him because it reflected the performance I saw from him. Just um, fluid with he finishes with both hands, like just so many different skill sets to his game. And I think maybe like we talked about earlier with Tabor, um, he's surrounded by a ton of talent there with like Dahi Quinn's the star of the show there, and maybe he wasn't able to fully show what he's capable of. But uh, if that's any indication, like he's going to have a big spring and summer for sure. I think he has one D1 offer. He's definitely I think he's a D1 player just from the eye test. So we'll kind of see if he can keep those performances consistent over the course of the spring and summer. We always talk about consistency being sort of a big differentiator, but really good start for him. Um, Chinedu Opara from Middlesex Magic, another player I didn't really get to see a ton of this winter. He's with the Magic. I think we mentioned guys in different roles. Like he was an all NEFSAC player with Wilbraham. I think he came off the bench for Magic this weekend. I'm not sure if Crowdy changed the lineups or what have you throughout I think they played like two or three games, but
Mm.
the one game I saw with the Magic, he really popped for me. Just as his athleticism. Um, he's a little skinny for like a big. I don't know where he like kind of projects at for the next level. I know he reclassified from 25 to 26. Probably wasn't getting the recruiting that he was looking for, but really athletic, like I said. Was getting in on rebounds, like a few spin moves in transition. Like we don't have to talk too much about Ryan Mesh, but Ryan Mesh was spectacular, and he was
Yeah.
finding him for like really uh, like in transition for a few times, and um, he's got a little bounce to his game. Like athleticism, we've learned is a big is a big factor in recruiting, and he definitely has some pop there, and um, he definitely impressed me on Saturday. I saw the Magic play against rivals, and he had some really big time plays. So Chinedu Opara, remember that name for sure for the spring and summer.
Okay.
Uh,
That's a good one.
yeah,
Yeah. I
and
think,
then
yeah, go ahead.
and then just kind of overarching like all the sneaker teams, the four sneaker teams that everyone's sort of sort of knows about, all really impressive. All have like and it's not a surprise. Like they always have the best talent every year. But BABC, I don't know if you're gonna find a better 1-2 punch um, nationally. than Amir Jenkins and Alex Abuenu on an AAU team. Like it's hard to beat a 1-2 punch like that, and they were fantastic. Saw a few of their games. BABC's like they got some like it's like a really dynamic team. Like you have Amir, and we know what he can do with the ball. We know what Alex can do on both ends. Amir on both ends too, for that matter. Chase Jeremiah is on this team, and I've kind of called him one of my. I think he's arguably the best shooter in New England. Maybe not numbers wise, but like just the way his release and like all the little things that he does with his shot. Like he's at least in the top 5 for best shooters in New England. So he's on there. Like he's gonna get a ton of spacing on that team. Hunter Taylor Tana from Darrow is on this team. I reported in my story, I'll give this away, but Sam Fleming, who's been out for a couple months from Wilbraham, he should be back in a few weeks. He's one of the best. He's a top 150 prospect in the country. Like, so BABC is going to be really exciting for me. And I know the Boston Shootout's coming up in maybe like a month or so. Got to get the details from Leo, but that'll be kind of must see, I think, for locals to see how Amir and Alex are doing. Like they're good. I think they're like, it's not a surprise. They're both nationally ranked, but big summers ahead for them, especially Amir, because and we know he has that Providence offer, but I think there's a ton of high major attention coming his way this summer, and rightfully so. Alex already kind of has a high major attention, but I'm sure he'll get some more big offers this summer too. But yeah, BBC, awesome. Magic, not enough things to say about them. Ryan Mesh was amazing. Quinn Costello's surprised me a little bit. I want to see some more consistency from him. Like he had some really good moments with Newman this past season, but maybe wasn't the most consistent. I want to see, like, he's a 6'9" big that can shoot, like that. Like colleges are probably savoring over him. And he showed some aggressiveness too. He had some really good dunks and crashing the boards and all that good stuff. So I want to see more of that from him. Expressions we already talked about. They have insane talent with Torrey and Otey at the top. Jackson Terry should be coming back hopefully in the next month or so. I know he obviously missed the final month with Cats with the wrist injury. So hopefully he's back. He was there. Good, seemed like he'd be in good spirit. So hopefully he's back soon. He's one of, we've talked about him. He's one of my favorite players to watch in the region. And then Mass Rivals, really quick on them. Their big stars weren't available. Sebastian Wilkins, Antonio Pemberton were obviously at Chipotle Nationals last week with Brewster. Shout out them, by the way. Like took Columbus to the brink.
What a game.
Sebastian Wilkins like arguably outplayed Cam Boozer in that game. Obviously lost in heartbreaking fashion on a buzzer beater from Caden Boozer. But nothing like, we can talk about that another time, but really impressive stuff from Sebastian Wilkins and Antonio Pemberton in that game. But they were not available this weekend, obviously, with Rivals. Brayson Green and Warren Kill also weren't there. So Vin Pastore, the head coach director, actually brought up a few freshmen to the 17U team that were getting some buzz around the gym. I mentioned this in my article. Derek Swartz, Finn McCauley, and the third name I'm gonna butcher, but Ouija Dak from Bedford, New Hampshire. Swartz and McCauley are both from Portsmouth on the Portsmouth High team last year, and they're getting a ton of buzz. They look good. They took Team New England to, I think it was like a 2-point game, and Team New England is really good too. Can get into them too, but so shout out to those 3 freshmen. I think there's some serious potential with them, and I know Vin is really high on them as well. So yeah, that's the sneaker teams, the big 4, if you will. They all look really good in their own respects this weekend.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's kind of what we want to see to start before they all get out on their circuits and start traveling. It's tough with a lot of those elite teams. It happens with me on the girls' side. Like you're just not really going to see them here that often. So when,
Yeah.
especially these early events where you can see them all together, for us, it's kind of like we got to attend these just to kind of get a first glance because you don't know when you're going to see them
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. You
Makes
might
it
see them
fun.
like a handful of times, like honestly, over the course of the summer. We'll see what the schedules look like, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
hard to travel to Spooky Nook or Pittsburgh get around. So
Yeah,
we'll
exactly.
take these opportunities when we can get them.
hmm Yeah.
Yeah.
Any lasting takeaways from boys before we flip it?
Um, Not really. Some 27. There was some 2020. I watched a few of the 16U games. Some 2027s impressed me. Anthony Vick, Theo Edema from Team New England were both incredible. I didn't really touch on Vic in my article, but um, they played the Magic 16s in like their championship, whatever you want to call it. Like I don't even know how they do it, but it's like they have like this little pool play, and then
Yep.
like everyone goes into like a semifinal pool. I don't even know. Um, but they match up. There was a great championship game, whatever you want to call it. But Vic was insane with his shot making, and as some of our viewers might know, he's actually transferring from Tilton to Cushing. So I'm very excited to see the Vic mesh backcourt next winter. But Vic is the goods, man. Like some of the shots he made were like insane, just like with coverage, defenders draped all over him and hitting deep from three. Like that's kind of his game, and he almost single handedly won that game for them. And then Theo is probably your favorite prospect. He looked great.
There we
Uh,
go.
the 7 footer, uh, who's just might be the best rim protector, at least in this class. I saw like I lost count of how many blocks he had over the course of the weekend, but it's tough because like I think I texted you like a lot of these teams don't have a 7 footer to match up with him, so he kind of just dominates just on his pure size. But no, he's really good, and I made a note. His free throw shooting was really good. I didn't make a count. I didn't like keep a tab of his free throw shooting, but like I don't I don't think he didn't miss much if he did it all. In that championship game, especially, I think he hit like 8 or 9 free throws, and um, I think like you said, that's a good teller of like his shooting ability. And I know he's capable from three. I don't think he shot it much last year for Cushing, but he's capable, and I think that's maybe the next development for him. Obviously, he's so dominant inside on both ends at the rim. But if he can even become like a guy that knocks down like 1 or 2 a game, like that just opens up
Absolutely.
so much. So, um, but he's capable of that for sure. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for those two, especially this spring and summer. Team New England has some studs that I'm looking forward to watching over the spring and summer. But
Yeah.
let's uh let's shift gears a little bit to the girls. I know you did not have an event this past weekend like me, but you have one coming up this weekend in Hanover. The what's it called? The New England
New England Spring Showdown. Yeah.
Spring Showdown. That's right. Um, yeah. What are you looking forward to seeing on the girls' side? We're doing shifting quickly here, but um, I know there's some big names coming back, and the Ella Peepers of the world, the Bella Woomies. I won't spoil all the names that you want to watch, but what are the teams and players that I guess you're keep an eye on to start things off?
Yeah. So New England Spring Showdown, I'm really excited for this. There have been a couple smaller showcases so far, but this is the first real large meeting for a lot of the New England teams. I mean, practically it's basically going to be yours, but on the girls' side, like
Yeah,
any New England area AAU team is going to be at this one. It's really the only, to my knowledge, it's the only one truly like this on the calendar. And then a lot of the shoe circuit teams won't really play in this region a whole lot. So I am really excited just to see everyone. I'm already before this podcast, I was getting my notes ready to just kind of give myself an internal schedule for Saturday and Sunday. Because there's just going to be so many teams that I want to see, and I do want to try and get a mix of different age groups. But there is just to kind of do a rough lay of the land for going into this year, kind of like on your side, there's a big three in New England for AAU. It's MCW
Hmm.
Stars on the Select circuit, which I don't think Select has a boys counterpart, but Select is a really prominent girls circuit, like for not being a shoe circuit. And then you have mass rivals, an Adidas, Bay State Jaguars, and Under Armour. So those are your big three. And then there's no Nike EYBL team, but you do have a couple of EYCL teams, which is Nike's second tier. So you have like Mass Huskies are really solid. I believe New England Crusaders is still EYCL, so that's another solid one. And then you have a lot of these secondary circuits where you're going to see solid teams like I believe Elite out of Connecticut, MT Ducks Elite, I think is in one of Under Armour's secondary circuits. Hoop Group, you have Hoop Group on the boys' side. Hoop Group has a bunch of
Hmm.
solid girls teams. I'm not going to list all the AAU teams, but they'll all be there, and so I'm excited to see all these teams. And in particular, it's a good chance for me to see like the elite prospects within their own kind of age groups and skill ranges. For example, in 2026, you're going to have, I think Rivals is 2026 at the top is pretty stacked. I make, we don't publish rankings. I have my own kind of internal head list of different tiers. I think Rivals might have three of the top five players in the 2026 class when you have Fope Ayo, who's nationally ranked,
Wow. Hmm.
Katarina Ravosa, who just dominated double A at Wilbraham and Munson, and then Elise Ngenda, who was New Hampshire Gatorade Player of the Year and is awesome at New Hampshire. I'm a huge fan of hers. And so those three players all on Rivals are going to be really, really good. I'm excited to see them all together. I think with Io in particular, she can produce kind of naturally at the NEPSAC level because even there, she is just like bigger and stronger than practically anyone. She might be almost 6'6" at this point, which is like even at the prep school level, there's no one that's coming close to her size, and she's become a lot more skilled in general. And so I want to see what that looks like against some of the other kind of collections of all-star talent that you mentioned at AAU
Yeah.
teams, whether that's here or whether that's like out at the Adidas tournaments. So I just want to see how she does. And then you get to 27. 27 is really fun. Bella Owumi will be on the MCW Stars top team. She's amazing. And I always thought it was really fascinating because at St. Mary, she is this kind of superstar. And then with MCW, she is this kind of like do it all cutter, floor spacer shooter, great defender, but didn't really have the ball in her hands a whole lot because the Stars team, especially last year, was just ridiculously loaded. This year, they lose a lot of the talent that was on the top team. She'll still be up there as a 27. So I wonder what that means for like her getting the ball in her hands, having to make
Hmm.
plays. It's still going to be a really good team. I just think that she will be asked to do more. I'm interested to see what that looks like in an AAU context. And then again, the Jags are always stacked, but I'm excited to see Ella Peper.
Yeah.
I don't know what team she's playing on. She wasn't on the top team last year. I don't know if they're moving her up to the top team yet. I'll find out this weekend. But wherever she
Yeah.
is, just kind of seeing like what she's added, what she's asked to do in a very similar vein to Iwumi, just like what do they want to put on her plate and how is she able to deal with it? Because again, at Dexter, she was their best player. She was asked to do a lot of stuff that at first she probably wasn't really comfortable with and kind of grew into it as the season went along. And so again, it's just like, okay, what does that look like now in front of other loaded teams and in front of college coaches potentially? So
Yeah.
that's your like elite players. And then we can kind of get into this a little bit, but there are a few players from the school season that really popped to me that I hadn't thought about a whole lot before that I am really excited just to see in if they continue it and it leads to recruiting success, if it leads to just like AAU team
Yeah.
success. I think that's always one of the coolest things is like
Yeah.
what translates across different teams.
Yeah. Well, let's get into that. Who like when like we're obviously this is April mid April right now, but 3 months from now, 4 months from now, who like I'm asking you to project a little bit, but
Okay.
who's like who are we gonna be talking about who were like the biggest stock risers, like one or two or three girls who they're gonna have like 10, 15 offers.
Yeah.
Like they're just gonna like pile it up this summer. Do you think
Yeah.
it's
Let
probably
me
we're probably thinking more 26s in that realm,
yeah.
right? Like, like maybe a Jay Scott from Bay State
Uh,
Jags.
that was my
Did
first
I
name I was
did
going
I
to go
just steal
to.
your answer?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
but that's great. That's a great starting point. So,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm getting this story that is currently in the draft, but will be posted by the time this episode goes live. So yeah, we'll start with Jay Scott. We've talked about her a lot,
Yeah.
especially the last couple of weeks because of how amazing she was in the postseason for Wachusett. Um, and Wachusett is such a good team that I think you can kind of look at what she was able to do on that team and the role she had and be like, oh yeah, this is really interesting and like possibly projects to a college role or at least like a really good AAU role. And she's so versatile at six. So she's 6 feet, which means like you can legitimately play her as a 3 or a 4 in college. She is strong. I think still there is another level of just added strength and power that she will probably need to get to, but at the very least, she's like a wing who can shoot. She just wasn't really asked to shoot as much, but she is a capable perimeter shooter, can put the ball on the floor and drive, was arguably the most impactful defender in MIA last year. Her defensive instincts are unbelievable, and she
Mhm.
has the length to help really make that a problem. Whether that's as a help shot blocker, as someone who can get in passing lanes and force a ton of deflections, as someone who can guard on the ball, she just she can fit almost any role that you want to ask out of like a 3 or 4 wing forward. And so I think again, I'm assuming she's on the Jags top team, but she is going to like make a serious impact. And I will be shocked if she doesn't come out of this summer with at least like 7 or 8 quality
Mhm.
Division One offers. And she's already got, I believe it's Providence offered her a long time ago,
Yeah.
and then I think it's UNH and Manhattan. I think of the other ones.
Yeah, you're right.
So, so yeah, like I think she's going to get a bunch more. She's so good, and
I know.
she has other ways. She's just going to impact the game in some way every time. Then aside from her, I'm really excited to see Lauren Biscuit on Mass Huskies was Rhode Island Gatorade Player of the Year. Again, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of her this season, but the numbers are pretty ridiculous. She's a 5'10" forward, just plays with a ton of power, maybe a little undersized for the kind of player she is, but I think she just makes up for it with brute strength, like mid-range scoring touch, um, post footwork, like just effort on the boards. So again, a player who I'm interested to see how that looks this summer, because I think the Huskies their 26 EYCL team is going to be really strong, and she's at the center of that. So again, like I don't really know what that looks like because again, we're projecting from the Rhode Island School League, and I don't know what
Mhm.
that looks like. I don't know what it looks like for her to translate, but she puts up legit numbers, and I expect at least some of that to look really good. And she's got an offer from Marist already, so she should add some more. And then if I'm going to pick one more, we could go to the 20 we can go to the 27 class. Actually, I'll throw in one more 26 names, who we've also talked a lot about. Bella Kakuta on, so she plays for,
Oh
I
yeah.
believe, Elite, but ended up being kind of the leading playmaker down the stretch for Tilton when they won Class AAA. She is, if you're asking me to power rank best shooters in New England, I'm probably putting her second or third. Um, just
Who's first?
Christina Pham. Christina Pham's
Oh
first.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can't
Okay.
really argue that. And then I think it's between her and
No,
Elise McDonough
fine.
at Worcester Academy for a second. But
Yeah.
with that being said, just ridiculous shooter, pull-up scorer herself and shooting off the catch just looks really easy and comfortable doing it. I think she improved so much over the course of the season, making driving plays and reads at the knapsack level. And she's not a crazy defender, but she fit in pretty well on perhaps like the best defensive team in knapsack. And so I'm really excited for her. She's got a bunch of mid majors. Like I think it's maybe 7 or 8. It might be a little bit more, but I think this is the year you're going to see like I wouldn't be surprised if I'm not. I guess I'm not going to name schools. I don't want to like mess around with that. But like an interesting like high major that wants to recruit locally like takes a flyer on her and is like could fit in an offense that needs perimeter scoring. Like I can
Yeah.
again, I'm not going to name school names, but I can think of at least 2 or 3 locally off the top of my head that could really use a player like her. And so I expect her to do really well, really well. I think I believe another one that like I think their 26 and 27 teams are going to be very strong for not being one of those big three circuit teams. That's a group I'm really excited to watch this weekend. And then yeah, let's
Yeah.
see, 27. I had two 27s on here. Tiffany Burns and Alana Bear, excited for both of them. But again, like I think with 27 and 28, a lot of it, I feel much better about 27, but 28, it's a lot of like I just want to find names because it's hard in NEPSAC and MIA too when like the best 28s are people who are still like probably not playing a whole lot and like no fault of their own. But unless you're Ella Peeper or maybe one or two others, you're the seventh or eighth player off the bench. You don't really see what they're fully capable of because they're fitting in like a very tight, narrow box in their role.
Yeah.
All completely understandable. Just like from an evaluator perspective, it's hard to really get a grasp. And so I want to watch a lot of those 27 and freshman teams and kind of see who really sticks out when they play against their own age group and like get more minutes and get more touches. So that'll be interesting. That's
Yeah.
another project this weekend as I build out my schedule is kind of mixing in a little some of those younger teams.
You mentioned 28s. I feel like we gotta at least talk a little bit about Ella
Yeah.
Peper, who's we've talked about a ton, obviously from the launch. Like she's already getting um, a ton of national interest and recognition for her talents. How many offers did she have?
Oh, it's at least like 15 or 16, I think. It
Yeah,
might be more. She was just at a Team USA national team development camp, I think.
yeah,
We got invited to that, which is sick. Yeah,
which is it's just an insane amount of offers, and you don't see freshmen very often getting the notoriety that she's gotten. But um, from what you saw with her at Dexter this past season, and obviously we don't know which team would Bay State. She's Bay State Jags, right?
yep,
Right. So we don't know which team she might be on yet. But what can we expect? What might you be looking for with her in terms of her development? Um, that she that maybe needs working on, or something that you saw during the season that she can kind of build on.
yeah,
I don't know if there's anything that sticks out to you about her and what you're looking forward to seeing over
yeah,
the next few months with her.
yeah, definitely. I think it's really hard with her because already, and it's crazy because we like this started happening even before freshman year, and now it's happening, and she's only a freshman becoming a sophomore. And that like we are going to nitpick so much of her development because she just has this spotlight that
Yeah.
very, very, very few players are going to have in this region. And like there is a point where I almost kind of feel bad for her because like her development is going to be under this microscope that no other player is going to have. And so like before I get to that, like I think it's always good, especially at the start of a season, to reset the context of like she is a 6'4" strong ridiculous athlete who is already one of the better shooters in New England and already one of the better like help defenders and instinctive players in New England. And she, as we've written about, as if you just watch her, she has this like relentless work ethic and love for basketball. So
And
everything
she
that
can dunk.
and she can dunk. So everything that is like that you kind of want to be there by nature is there. So remember that when we then kind of dissect a lot of like what I want to see. And so I think what was hard for Peeper this year, at least when I watched, and again, I didn't see every game, but when I watched, I think especially early, because I watched Dexter in some of the early games where they kind of struggled finding pieces, fitting pieces together, and they were dealing with a lot of injuries too, is she was asked to do a lot with the ball and create in ways that I think were different from her and hard for her. Just, I think there is room for her to grow with making decisions off the dribble. She can drive in a straight line and be strong. I think if she's going to become eventually more of like an on-ball playmaker, I think there is room for her to grow with that. I did see like over the course of the season, she can like attack a closeout and make a smart pass from there. Like she can read the defense pretty well. I think it's just kind of more reps of doing that and improving ball handling. She gets a lot of comparisons to Kaylin Carroll because they are tall players who can handle the ball
Yeah.
and can shoot really well. I think they're pretty different players where like Peeper is a way better defender than Carroll was at her age, especially. And I think Carroll is a way better playmaker off the dribble. And so I think for Peeper, it's kind of like you don't need to model your game after Kale and Carroll, but that is like the next place to look. I've talked to other national evaluators about her and about players like her, and they want to see like is she willing to be physical in the post? Especially like when you have this inherent size advantage that you're going to have as a 6'4" wing, like she should be able to dominate with that. And partially, I don't think she was asked to do that a whole lot at Dexter, which is fine. But I also think like there is room for her to be a little bit more assertive and take those. I think finishing around the basket more efficiently, just in general, is something she should be better at and something she will work on and I assume get better at. Um, and then defense too. She's a great, great defender, and I think she leans on her length a lot. And she can improve a little bit of her defensive positioning and stuff. Again, like she is the caliber of athlete and caliber of worker where like she could definitely hit there. I just think those are the next stages for her.
Yeah.
But again, it's like all this stuff is you're like you're talking about these players like they're draft prospects or
Like pros,
or
yeah.
like pros, and she's I don't even know if she's 15 yet.
Yeah.
So she's in such a good spot. It just is like it's tough because everyone is like, and I remember actually, I remember this with, I think Awumi in a weird way is kind of like a very interesting case study for me because last year, when she was a freshman at St. Mary's, everyone, it was kind of similar. Everyone had all this type of like, oh, she's the star now. She's getting the eighth grade Power Five offers or Power Four offers, and what's it going to be like? And her freshman year was kind of a struggle, even though she did put up numbers. There were a lot of times where it looked overwhelming for her, and then so I think everyone was like, oh, what's going to happen with her? And then she had this amazing sophomore season, and so. I do think it will be kind of similar with Peper, where it's like you have to hit the adversity first before you know how to beat it. And so that is what I think will eventually happen with her. She just has to learn how to
Yeah.
beat the adversity because she hadn't really seen it before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That was a very I don't know how long of a scouting breakdown that
No,
was.
that
But
was good. That was really good.
that's where I'm at with her. And again, like she, I don't, I haven't been doing this long enough to put her in context, but she one is the best prospect regardless of class in New England. It's not really a debate. And two,
Hmm.
in recent memory, put her up with any player at least in the last 10 years. Which is a lot of
Yeah.
that's a lot of pressure, but like hopefully people understand it's just like appreciate where she's at too, as we also talk about all the things she can do better, which yeah.
Yeah. Which I do feel a little bad kind of nitpicking and spotlighting her
Mhm.
because she is so young and there's so much like there's just so much high school basketball left.
Yeah.
Like she's not committing to a college this fall. Like she has like two more years at least, right? What was it? It's 25 right now, but she won't be
She's
committing to like the fall of winter 27. So like
yeah, it's
there's a
crazy.
lot of time. So definitely should be patient with her. But
Yeah.
we're interested in her because of all the things you said, because of uh like all the offers she's already gotten and just the attention and we can just see it. We can see how good of a prospect she can be. So
Mhm.
it'll be fun to just like follow the journey, right? Like we talked about this like over the next 3 years with her. It'd just be fun to see like how she because we're kind of getting in from the ground level with her as a freshman and I think you saw her a little bit as an eighth grader, right? But so it's kind of fun to just watch that maturation over time.
Yeah. Yep.
What is there anything else that you wanted to hit on with girls that you're excited to see this weekend? Any maybe under the radar prospects that you wanted to make a mention of, or teams that um, might might not get the attention that they should or that others have, but
Yeah.
anything that
I'll
pops out?
I'll go kind of quickly. I think that let's see. So I've talked to I mean 26, like we've got a pretty full database of 26s at this point. I think Brooke Golden on MCW Stars
Mm,
slash Tilton. She's another player who like she didn't really need she had a very specific limited role at Tilton, which worked really well for her and the team, obviously. But I think like she got a Northwestern offer. I think we might have talked about it on this podcast
mm,
over the winter, and I think she just has
yeah.
a size and athleticism as a center that if she kind of puts it together this summer, she could have a huge summer. Um, I hype up Izzy Adams all the time. I think she's a ridiculous passer. I think especially she's going to have a larger role in MCW this year. I talked about some of the rivals players. I think Serenity Lancaster, I believe she's still with Connecticut Basketball Club. That program is not like they're not like a national shoe circuit program. They might fly a little bit under the radar, but I think they have a couple of really good players, and I would put Lancaster at the top of that. Then if we go into 27s. I don't know how much I'm going to get to watch of Anna Moser because she is with, I think, New York Havoc. But she's nasty. And so I will at least be following on social media how her summer goes. And then Alana Morantis, who I believe went to Rivals now at Cushing, another good 27. I would consider Awumi, Moser, and Morantis like a tier of their own. That's like the S tier for 27 early right now. It's very early. No one hold me to these takes. I'm allowed to change them because it's a
I
limit.
will. I'll hold them.
Okay.
I use it against you. No, I'm just kidding.
And then 28 even. 28's got a couple guards I'm really excited about. I would mention within that Sage DeJesus, who was at Winchendon. Winchendon kind of struggled at Double A, but everyone who watched was like, wow, she's really, really good as a freshman. And so I'll be, again, she's a Rivals player, I believe, and I will be excited to see, again, just like what that looks like on a team that is better. She'll be surrounded by a little bit more talent. Spotlight will be a little larger, so how she thrives in there. Yeah, just generally like all these teams are here. It's a little bit different for me. I don't have a baseline to go off yet like you have. So I'm just gonna go in with an open mind. Probably plan for 10 to 6, 10 to 6 Saturday and Sunday and just kind of sit and watch games. People come say hi to me. I'm happy to talk. And if I'm not like in my zone with photos and stuff. And so it'll just be fun. I think I want to approach this one with very open-minded, not coming in looking for specific players or teams and just kind of see what I see and like give it kind of a clean slate. Should be a fun weekend.
Yeah. Just kind of see what sticks out, and it becomes kind of obvious if you're watching a game, like, oh, this player's really popping, or oh wow,
Exactly.
they made a few really good plays in a row. But no, it'll be fun. Bring some water.
I will. I'm gonna pack a lunch too.
It's always a long day.
Yeah, I think I'll pack 2 lunches.
Hi, I'm Jamie Marcoux, AVP for Athletics at LaSalle University. We're proud to offer 15 NCAA Division III varsity sports teams. And last year, all of our varsity teams advanced to the conference playoffs. Our student athletes excel both on the field and in the classroom. LaSalle offers over 60 majors and minors and is located just 8 miles from Boston. With one of the most affordable private educations and housing ranked #1 in Massachusetts by Niche, we're committed to providing an exceptional college experience. Visit lasalle.edu to learn more.
Yeah, I think that'll do it for AAU talk for now. But as you want to take it over for full court press.
Full court press.
Yes, it's time for Full Court Press, where I lob some questions to our panelists here. They are unprepared for these, and today, as a special treat, we have a quiz game about college basketball nicknames. You guys love the nicknames, right?
Steve's gonna crush me on this. Oh my god!
I don't know if I will.
Okay.
I tried to pick hard ones, but who knows? Let's start with Steve. Steve, here's question number 1.
Okay.
Stetson University, DeLand, Florida. Are they
it's multiple choice.
I get multiple choice. Okay.
Multiple choice.
Thank you.
Are they A, the Sunshine, B, the Hatters, or C, the Lizards? Stetson University, the Sunshine, the Hatters, or the Lizards?
I believe they're the Hatters.
That's absolutely right. And we're going to give you a bonus point if you can tell us why.
I don't
No?
No.
I really want to hear this.
They wear hats. I don't know.
Well, you're close. Stetson's university teams are named after their namesake, John B. Stetson. He was the famous hat maker who invented the iconic Stetson cowboy hat in the 1860s. So,
do we have a picture?
No, we don't.
No? You didn't pull up anything?
If I have time, I'll add one later. It's a cowboy hat. You know what a cowboy hat looks like? Yeah, Stetson is a classic cowboy hat. All right.
Gotcha.
Steve's 1 for 1. We move to Ethan. Buies Creek, North Carolina is the home of Campbell University. Mm-hmm. Is their mascot the Cigars, the Soups, or the Fighting Camels? The Campbell Cigars, the Campbell Soups, or the Fighting Camels?
I gotta go Fighting Camels by default. Tell me it's not the Cigars or something.
It is absolutely the Fighting Camels. Well done. Can you tell us why? Probably not.
No way. I didn't know that. This is a U.S. college.
Yes, it is. It's in North Carolina. Back in the early 1900s, James Archibald Campbell, the university's founder, was approached by a man who told him, "Your name's Campbell, then get a hump on you. We're counting on you to carry the banner and fight like a camel." It's not the metaphor of the tough, enduring camel seemed to stick. I don't know. I don't know if I love that one, but fighting camels is a fantastic nickname.
It is.
All right.
Okay.
Back to you, Steve.
All
University of Idaho. Are the University of Idaho players known as the Taters, the Vandals, or the Tornadoes? Idaho. Go ahead.
I actually knew this before you even gave the multiple choice. It is the Vandals.
Very good. Yes. Can you tell us why?
No, I cannot.
Okay. I didn't expect that you would, but the interesting stories behind all of these. The nickname started in 1917. The team was noted for its aggressive and tenacious defense, leading sports writers, you guys should like this, to comment that they vandalized their opponent. In fact, there was a writer named Harry Lloyd Jazz McCarty, great name. He wrote for the Argonaut in a pregame article. He referred to the team as a gang of vandals, a moniker that quickly gained popularity. That might get canceled one day, the Vandals. I don't know. All right, Steve, you have a perfect record so far. Ethan, your next question. Youngstown State, which is Youngstown, Ohio. They're the Youngstown Youngins, the Youngstown Steer, or the Youngstown Penguins?
Shoot. Oh, no.
The Youngins, the Steer, or the
I
Penguins?
think I'm going to go with the Steer, actually.
Gotcha. You know it, Steve?
Penguins.
The Penguins, correct. One of the theories behind the nickname is that in 1933, during a game at West Liberty State Teachers College, the unheated gym led Youngstown players to flap their arms and shuffle their feet to stay warm. Observing this, a spectator remarked, "They look like penguins." It resonated with the fans. The fans voted Penguins the official nickname.
I love these fan voting processes way more than now. That's like, I love how they used to do it. Wow.
Did they still do it?
No, usually it's like Twitter, you have to vote for the fan name, or like some, I don't know, marketing group picks the fan name. Boston's had a couple issues with some of their recent fan names, like Boss Nation. But
Yeah.
this is way cooler. I wish we still did it like this.
Yeah, we need more Penguins and Vandals. All right, Steve, back to you. St. Peter's University in Jersey City, New Jersey. Are they the Saints, the Ostriches, or the Peacocks? St. Peter's. Saints.
The famous
Go ahead.
I said the famous Peacocks who made the Elite Eight a few years ago.
That's absolutely
Yeah,
right.
dang.
I had forgotten they made the Elite Eight. I probably would have gone with
As a 15 seed.
Now tell us
Epic
why.
run.
Keep showing off how smart you are. Tell us why. He doesn't know.
No.
They adopted the peacock as its mascot in 1930, symbolizing the institution's revival after a 12-year closure due to World War I. The peacock, often associated with resurrection and eternal life in mythology, was chosen by the then Reverend Robert Gannon to represent the college's rebirth. Okay, well, I'll buy that. It has nothing to do with NBC. Finally, Ethan, you guess what? You lost, but you
This
can
is a pity question.
preserve some pride here and show. Actually, if you can tell us why the school is known, maybe we'll give you a bonus point. Anyway, it's Long Beach State, California. Are the Long Beach State athletes known as the Surfers, the Beach, or the Jellyfish? Long Beach State, Surfers, Beach, or Jellyfish?
Wow, I don't know this one either. I feel like in a
don't either.
weird. I
You
feel
got
like
you.
it's the beach. I'm gonna, in a weird way, it's got to be the beach.
The Beach is absolutely correct. And, I mean, it's still maybe self-evident why they're the Beach, but go ahead. You want to tell us why?
Am I gonna luck myself into a draw here?
I don't know.
That they're it's, I don't know. It's alongside a beach. It's Long Beach, California.
Yeah, that's mostly correct. But I'm not going to give you a point. It just wouldn't.
I
be
don't
fair.
deserve that.
It just
I
wouldn't
don't
be fair.
deserve
But we'll give you an honorable mention. Yes, used to be known as the 49ers. They changed it as part of a broader effort to modernize the university's branding. And the beach has been informally used for years, was officially embraced to emphasize the university's connection to the nearby coastline. Well, duh, it's California. Anyway, There you go. I think you did both very well in today's nickname quiz.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was a good battle.
I'll have some actual... As the winner of the contest, Steve, you receive an actual live penguin. It's on the way to the studio right now. Congratulations. Oh, yeah. And back to you guys to wrap things up.
Yeah. Wow, that was great. I feel I shouldn't have won that, so I will happily give Steve credit. Yeah, any lasting thoughts, Steve? Are we good to keep going into AAU?
No, I'm excited, man. Kind of see some prospects and see what the next 2 months hold for us. So
yeah, it's gonna be fun. We got a lot. I got this weekend, and then after that, there's gonna be tournaments coming April, May, all the way through like mid to late July. We'll keep you updated as we kind of have larger observations. We'll have more guests coming up pretty soon. We have a couple booked already, I think. It's going to be really fun. So thank you, Steve Hewitt, for co-hosting with me as always. Thank you, producer David Yaz, for getting the competitive juices flowing. But yeah, for those two, I'm Ethan Fuller. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.